Guru Nation, welcome back to another special episode. I got my investor hat on. I've got my Kathy Wood ETF. I wish. Maybe one day, guys, if I'm ambitious enough, I'll have a clinical research ETF, and I can just help you guys pick portfolio of companies. But why wait till then? Let's do it now. So what I wanted to do was share, because you guys may know, if the loyal ones that have been following, the loyal subscribers, which only 1 out of 4 of you watching are subscribed. So make sure you subscribe, like, hit the bell button, and comment. If you're not, it really helps me out, helps the algorithm a lot. I've been talking a lot about the next decade being the decade of clinical research, and maybe even going further. I mean, look at the innovations that came out just on a macro level. Everybody's talking about this COVID vaccine. What very few people are talking about is the new paradigm shift, the RNA technology. It's a synthetic vaccine. This is like a paradigm shift in how we do vaccines. Next, we have genomic sequencing, right? And then on top of all that, we have consolidation, and we have AI, and we have tech, and everything kind of converging on our industry. Our industry is going to explode this decade. So why don't we put our money where our mouth is? And this is not financial advice, right? I'm going to show you some companies that I think are promising. I don't own many of them, but I do own some, and I'll disclose which ones I do. But I do think the ones I've picked out today are ones that even I will consider, like all of them, owning them, because I'm really bullish on the industry, and so I feel like these are the best companies to represent the industry going forward for at least the next decade. So, with all that being said, let me get right into it. And again, not financial advice. Don't follow me. Um, just a few days ago, on March 1st, 2021, Metadata thought leaders discussed the future of clinical trials at Scope annual meeting. All right, so what they talked about was virtualization of clinical trials, virtual trials, AI, COVID-19 challenges and solutions, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I got to throw in Latinos in clinical research into the mix here, as well as Black women in clinical research. And then risk-based quality management. Okay, these are right now what is propelling the industry. These are the focus points, as you can tell, for the industry going forward. So that, combined with my hero, Kathy Wood, ARK Invest ETF, and she has 57 companies in her portfolio as of today, and some of them, I think, one, two, three, 4 of them I'm gonna cover. But I have others that she doesn't have. But I'm actually impressed with some of her picks. So to see her full list, just go here. Her list is more for the genomic revolution, and mine is more for clinical research in general, which a lot of it is going to be the genomic revolution. So let's get right into Veeva Systems, stock symbol VEEV. And here's the stock. All right, the stock is it's a $38 billion market cap. It's trading at a PE ratio of 107, which for a tech company is honestly not that high. They have earnings coming up soon. Their 52-week range was between 118 and 325, so this is not a bad place to get in. If you look at the last month, it actually went down from like 318, 320 to 254, where we are today. What do I like about Veeva? What I like about Veeva is the products that they have for sites. Okay, I didn't even realize they had an EDC system. And I didn't realize they have all these things: study startup, ETMF, CTMS to manage clinical trials for the sites, payments. So they have services for sites, which are free. If you look at, and this is how Veeva can Trojan horse their way in to having the sponsors pay them, because they give away the site vault, like regulatory, for free. They have a Trojan horse. They have a good Trojan horse for the sites. Then they have these services that they pay to the sponsors and the CROs. Basically, in a nutshell, what it's doing is it's making the inefficiencies in clinical research more efficient through technology. Veeva is going to, in my opinion, this is the best company that we're going to talk about. And they're all good companies, in my opinion. But this is going to be the one. If I only had to pick one, if I only had to pick one, I would pick Kathy Wood's arkg because she actually has Veeva and a few other of these in her portfolio. See over here, number 15, she has Veeva. I think it's between Veeva and CRISPR as to the best comp. Like if I could only choose one of those two. And by the way, you're gonna notice a theme in this video. These are not, unlike my biotech videos, where we're depending on catalysts such as KMPH's KP415 that we were bullish on, that we said would get approved and did get approved, and we're still waiting on that pump. So hopefully it's coming. Unlike playing the catalyst game, this is like, the analogy is like the gold miners in California, and not being a miner, but selling the shovels, the picks, the jeans. Levi's Jeans Company was founded during the California Gold Rush, and they weren't mining for gold. They were selling tools to make life easier for the miners. This is exactly what Veeva does, and as you'll notice from this theme, this is what just about every company that I'm going to show you does as well. So the next one that does this, probably does it better than anyone else and is best positioned from a CRO level, is IQVIA. What I like about IQVIA, first of all, this is what I don't like about IQVIA. Their PE ratio is pretty high compared to the other CROs when we're going to compare them, or we're going to compare the next ones right now. But their market cap is the biggest. All right, so they're fairly expensive. And as you can see, their 52-week high, 199, and we're almost at that level again. So you're not getting in at a great price here, but there's no denying IQVIA is going to be, unless something changes in the industry, in the next decade, they'll continue to dominate. Why? Because they were the first ones to integrate technology. They were the first ones to do the database for investigative sites when they bought drugdev.org. I interviewed the founder, Melissa Easy, a decade ago. IQVIA was doing all this stuff then, streamlining, making things easier for the sponsors. Right? They were part of the whole Transcelerate, the same trend as what was happening with Transcelerate. What were they starting to invest? What were they, the first CRO to start investing in virtual trials? And I always talk about consolidation in the industry is not good, which I continue to say it's not a good thing for innovation. But IQVIA is leading the way for innovation, and then the other ones are innovating because they have to keep up with IQVIA. So IQVIA's got to be on this list. The next one that I think needs to be on this list because they're doing a lot of things, especially this word. Look, this is front and center on their website. Diversity. This is like going to be the theme for the next decade as well. How do we increase diversity, equity, and inclusion in clinical trials? Meaning, how do we bring minorities into the mix? Syneos is, I'd probably say that the most progressive, in my opinion. These are all my opinion, guys. The most progressive CRO. And if you look at their market cap, so compare it to IQVIA, it's only 7.5 billion. IQVIA is 36. But look at their PE ratio, only 39 instead of 132. So this is undervalued in my opinion. All right, 52-week range. It's trading close to the high. They've got earnings coming up April 28th, sometime between April 28th and May 3rd. All these companies are going to crush earnings because research has been, the last quarter, research has been going crazy. Okay, with the vaccine and everything. So if we look at Syneos's website, you'll see they're getting involved in a whole lot of stuff there, and IQVIA is doing a lot of this too. A lot of the CROs, they're all offering the same thing, and they're doing the technology, virtual trials, consulting for sponsors. They're doing all that stuff. The consulting is really high profits for these companies, right? When they consult with a small biotech on how to go about running their trials and designing their trials and all that. So Syneos doing all the same things, right? You're just paying a lot less for it, and there's a lot more opportunity for Syneos to gain more market share and maybe not become number one because it's going to be hard to catch IQVIA in this decade, but maybe become number two, because right now what's number two is Icon, especially now Icon after the PRA merger. That's going to be number two, so they could catch up to them. So if you can go from like number 4 CRO to number 2, you're going to see that reflected in the stock price as well. They've got virtual trials. What I like about Syneos, they've got AI. I did some investigating 2 years ago at DIA. I walked around the booths, and there's all these AI startup companies doing virtual trials, and Syneos actually is a silent investor in a lot of these companies. I mean, it's out there for anybody that was at the conference, and you just do your own due diligence. You can see, just look up some of these small, just take my word for it, these small virtual trial AI solutions companies. Syneos is backing a lot of these, and so are all these CROs, but I know Syneos is doing this as well. So they're into all this stuff too. The next one is PPD. So PPD, much like Syneos, all right, 12 billion. So I think Syneos can realistically catch PPD in the next couple of years, but PPD knows that they're going for number 2 as well. So rather than gambling and picking which one you think's going to do, just buy a piece of all of them, including IQVIA. You can't go wrong. These companies are not going to go anywhere. If anything happens, they're just going to merge. Like PPD might merge with Syneos. I mean, this is just like theoretical. This is not, there's nothing in the news saying this, but look at what happened with PRA and Icon, right? It's not like PRA went out of business. Icon paid a premium to buy PRA. The stockholders were rewarded very nicely for that. So it wouldn't hurt you to buy just a piece of every one of these CROs. So PPD, much the same. Their PE ratios more expensive though, 99. This is why I like the Syneos. I like Syneos right now. Just pay attention to those PE ratios, price to earnings ratio. The lower, the better. So that's PPD. You could do your due diligence and go see. PPD's doing basically all the same kind of things. Cell and gene therapy, this is big. Syneos was doing that too. IQVIA is doing that too. Virtual trials, diversity. I really think Syneos leading the way with diversity, but I know PPD's close behind. So now let's get into the other companies that are selling services to sponsors. So far, every company we mentioned sells services to sponsors, and that's going to continue. None of these guys or gals on this list are pending any catalysts or anything like that. Here's an interesting one, Teladoc, and this one is one that is in arkg, Kathy Wood's profile. So it's basically a virtual visit with doctor, right? Access to doctors on your schedule, 24/7 access. This is going to play a role in clinical research, and Teladoc is leading the way. So it's easy to see how sponsors are going to reach out to them and say, hey, we have a study. Can you support our trial? They're probably going to do that. Even if they don't get clinical trial exposure, right? This is still a great company, like only growth in front of it. So we'll just look at the stock quickly for Teladoc. You'll see it's $189. There's no PE ratio because they don't make money yet. So that's the thing with these tech companies, especially the new ones. It's hard to analyze them. So then you're really betting on the technology. Is it a disruptive technology and all that kind of stuff? I wanted to tell you a little bit from ARC Big Ideas 2021. The next two things are very important. Long read sequencing, which is going to replace short read sequencing. So it gives you a more complete picture of the human genome. You've got that, and you've got multi-cancer screening. All right, so multi-cancer screening, I've done a video on arkg actually, but basically liquid biopsies could prevent more cancer deaths than any medical intervention in history. A multi-cancer screening protocol could avert 66,000 cancer deaths per year. So I say all that to get into the next couple of companies, the next 4 really, that's going to end this. And by the way, I'm going to do a video on each one of these companies one by one. So make sure that you subscribe, you like, so that the algorithm shows you this, and that you comment which one you want me to do first. Because each one of these companies I'm going through really quickly, deserve their own video, at least 10 minutes, and I plan on doing that too. pacb, this one I'm actually very excited about myself. I don't own this. Full disclosure, I own Veeva. I own, so far from what we've looked at, I own Veeva, but I'm very strongly considering owning some Syneo stock. But the other ones, like, I would seriously consider owning a piece of all of these, and maybe in my M1 Finance app, I'll do that because you can create your own pie and just make your own ETF. I have no problem with any of these companies on here. pacb, this is one that I'm very excited about. I think this has a lot of growth potential. So it's trading at a PE ratio of 172. What does pacb do? pacb basically does what Kathy Wood said is going to be disruptive. Long read sequencing. They're like the main players in long read sequencing. The Sequel 2 system has been recognized for its ability to generate longer reads with greater accuracy. This is what they are selling. This is their research. Human biomedical research, plant and animal sciences, and microbiology and infectious diseases. They got clinical research covered. All right, this going forward, this is going to be one of the main vendors you're going to hear about. This is like the new lab services. It's funny, last decade and the decade before, all the labs merged with CROs, right? This is next. This is next, I think, because what does every study need? Every study is going to need genetic screening. Watch, you'll see. Another one, probably the number one company that I would buy on this whole list, and I do own this one. Okay, I own CRISPR. Full disclosure, I am a CRISPR shareholder in multiple accounts. All right, if I only had to pick one, it would be between this and Veeva, and I'd probably go with CRISPR. It's just more game changing, more paradigm shifting. I'm reading a book on this right now about the lady who discovered and won a Nobel Prize for the CRISPR technology. Well, this is the CRISPR Therapeutics. It's not her company. I'm still reading the book. So when I'm going to do an entire video on CRISPR, I'll know the story. I'll know much more of the story, more than you want to know. But for right now, just know they can find parts of the genome that are mutated that cause a disease. For example, sickle cell. They're furthest along in sickle cell. They have the Cas9 protein, which is an RNA that can go in, cut out the part that's wrong, edit it, put the new part back in. Genetic disease is done. Sickle cell. It's just very expensive, and they're working on a bunch of other things coming up. Here's the therapeutic approach. They aim to target the source of genetically defined diseases and engineer the next gen of cellular therapies. They are in clinical trials, but they've partnered so far with Vertex Pharmaceuticals, who's also on Kathy Woods' arkg holdings. So they are the one on this list. They're the ones closest to being like one of the biotechs where they're depending on catalysts, but they also have tools that they can sell or that they can partner with, like companies like a Vertex. So I think once they have proof that it actually can work in a clinical trial setting, I think a lot of other companies are going to be wanting to partner with them. Another one that's very similar. Oh, let's look at the CRISPR stock really quick. I've been getting hammered on this stock. I've owned it. I bought it around here, guys, at the top. I probably paid $199 for it. It's $114 now. So am I worried? No, I bought more. I've been buying more because long term, I'm in this for the long term. All right. Another one that's very similar to CRISPR is Editas. It's just a smaller market cap. It's 2.8 billion. CRISPR is 8.6 billion. They're a little further behind. They're a little bit newer, but they pretty much do the same thing as CRISPR does. And so basically everything you heard about CRISPR, what if we could repair broken genes? Our mission and commitment is to harness the power and potential of CRISPR gene editing. So don't get CRISPR technology confused with CRISPR therapeutics. Right? It's just they were first, so they took the name. And it's actually the lady who partnered with Jennifer Ann Doudna. And I'm going to do an entire, because I'm reading a book on her, written by Walter Isaacson right now. So trust me, a proper CRISPR video is coming up. Okay, but this is just to get your beaks wet. But the last one that's on this list is Catalent. Catalent is in charge of if you guys know the vaccine delivery, okay, J&J, AstraZeneca, this is who delivers the vaccines. All right, very specialized drug transportation, vaccine biologics transportation. Catalent's the #1 partner in helping pharma biotech deliver and supply superior products that improve people's lives. They are also getting into biologics. They're getting involved with genetics. They acquired Delphi Genetics, and this is all about genetic screenings and these kind of things, genotypes. Uh, for those of you that work in clinical research, you know there's usually a genetic component to an informed consent. So Catalent's actually fairly cheap, $57.92. They have earnings May 3rd. I bet you they're going to crush earnings. If you look at Yahoo, they say it's overvalued. 52-week range from 31 to 127, so it's a little bit at the high end. The PE's relatively low. It's not really a tech company, but they did acquire a genetics company, so they're getting into this stuff as well. So this is just some, guys. If you want to see the full list, I mean, I didn't go by Kathy Wood's list, like all her 57 companies. A lot of those stuff I picked were not on her list, like the CROs, especially when you look at one like Syneos. I was actually surprised that she had Veeva on there because I thought Veeva was like a hidden gem that no one knew about, but apparently they're already big, $38 billion market cap. So again, not financial advice. I'm going to go through a lot of these one by one on their own videos, but just wanted to give you guys something to look into and maybe think about investing if you're bullish on this industry, clinical research like I am. Take care.